Hello, everyone. Welcome. Live Audiophile Roundtable. Steve Westman, 33 versus 45 RPM albums. Which sounds better and why? Plus any latest news and discussions. I'll bring in my panel on this very interesting evening. So a lot of people are probably watching something other than vinyl reviews and album reviews and audiophile stuff tonight. But here I am. I'm in Vancouver. I got Michael T from Seattle. We've got no tone controls at Tublandia, otherwise known as Jefferson. How are you guys? Thanks for joining us tonight in this. We call this debate night, right? And it's debate night between
exactly.
33 RPM and 45 RPM debate night. This is
I
our
guess,
debate night.
We're busy making vinyl great again.
Exactly.
Is that Vega? Would that be Vega? I think you got a trademark going, Michael. That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys. Thank you guys for this. I think it's always an interesting topic. I know I touched upon it on my channel for years. We know that Analog Productions got has 45 RPMs with their whole Atlantic 75 series going on. Of course, we buy a lot of 33 RPMs. We bought a lot of 45 RPM one steps in their day, or the UHQRs, and we're always debating: is it sound that much greater? I know there's been some posts lately on the Steve Hoffman forum. I can bring that up later as well. I also brought a bunch of albums, and so everyone knows, and I know I've posted this in a bunch of places. The two next Rhino Hi-Fi rock albums are coming out July 17th. But look at this. I know I showed Jefferson here. They just sent me these yesterday. I can't show you the titles. This is one of them, but take a look. On the inner liners, on the inner liner sleeve here, it's got the Rhino logo now. So they've changed it up a bit. And if I was just to go like this, you could see what the album is. I can't do that though, but it's here. One of the two that are coming out.
When are they being announced, Steve?
July 17th. I'll have an announcement on my channel. Myself, Patrick Milligan, will have an announcement of the two on that day, probably early in the morning, in and around between 5:30 and 6 a.m.
Can you tell us how many words are in the band's names? Can you tell us that?
Oh, I'm gonna get in trouble. I mean, I could just. Oh, he can't see it. I don't know if he can see it. I don't want to tease anyone. That's too funny. But they're beautiful. I mean, they're two bands anyways, and I'm not going to tell you the letters. I'm not going to tell you what they start with. And I will tell you, both of you guys know the Rhino fan group. There's a few people on there. Are pretty good guesses on some of them. So some of them have some good guesses, but it's definitely not Deep Purple. I think you're asking me if it's Deep Purple, Michael. It's not Deep Purple.
Yeah, because that was one of the common ones. They kept saying Deep Purple Burn.
Nice.
Rhino just did that big 50th anniversary Machine Head box set, right, with the never released UK quad, and then the remastered vinyl. So they're probably good on Deep Purple for a minute.
Yeah, I think they are. So take a look at this. Is anyone interested? This came out the other day. Linkin Park early access. You get Hybrid Theory. Metora, Minutes to Midnight, One Step Vinyl Records coming August 9th. The first 3 Linkin Park records being released on a one-step RTI vinyl, the same as the, what would that be, the MoFi one-step. So it's the same vinyl technology, the same mastering techniques used, or the same, I guess, plating techniques used with the one-step.
So
you guys
is it the same formula in the one-step as the UHQR? Is that the exact same?
No. Same formula in the, not the UHQR, the MoFi one-step. That's the same from UTI. It's that Neotech formula, whatever that is. It's
so
trademarked formula.
Super vinyl.
Super vinyl. That's it. Thank you. Yeah.
Impex also uses the formula for their box sets.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And Impex was it next year? They were on the show. They're coming out with that Frank Sinatra.
Those Linkin Park records, though, I want to give a shout out. The guy that's cutting those is his name is Levi at Black Belt Mastering. He's right here in Seattle, Washington, where I am. He's a great mastering engineer. He does awesome work.
Good.
And those are all digital cuts, everyone. So don't they're all from a digital source, just so everyone knows. Any thoughts?
The albums were recorded or mixed at least digitally. So,
what's their biggest album? I think it's is it the first one? Like, is it Hybrid Theory was their big one? I can't remember now. I'm not a huge Linkin
It was the
Park
one with
fan.
one step closer was the big song off their huge hit. I remember that. I was working radio at the time.
Okay.
What album was One Step Closer on? That was the first one, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a Hybrid Theory. And again, I didn't think I mentioned this, and it says it on there. It's limited to 3,000 per album. So I don't know. You can pre-order. I think you can pre-order now on different, the different websites that you guys buy records on. I believe so. I got a few links from some viewers, but I'm again, it's $99 US for me. I mean, we all know when the smoke clears as a Canadian, all Canadians that are watching will agree. it's about 100 and I'd say 99. Yeah, it's about 100 and for me about $160 when the smoke clears Canadian with shipping and duty. So it's a lot for a Linkin Park digital album.
Can't you just get Michael can't you just ship all your records to Michael and have him drive them up there like 3 times a year? Save on
Yeah,
that?
then I'd have to pay for his gas and entertain his,
Yeah, but I
and
think
then
you
pay for
pay the
his
black.
beer. I mean, in the end, it would cost me more.
Well, okay, his beer, gotcha.
I could get like where I live. I'm actually probably 3 mile and a half away from the border, so I could get one of those mailboxes across the border and walk across. People do that. I mean, I've thought about it, but I mean,
I'm actually Jefferson knows about this. There's a guy I know in Canada that sells reel machines and tape decks. I'm making my 3rd trip to Blaine, Washington tomorrow. He's a shipping depot. He's in Langley.
Okay,
and, that's where I go to pick up stuff from him. Yeah,
awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. Dustin's back.
Hey,
Dustin was away. I think he was overseas for a while. I haven't talked to him for a while.
The legendary Alan S is in the comments too.
Where's that? Sorry,
Alan Schneider. He's in the comments.
Is he? Is he up? I didn't see that.
Yeah, Alan always.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He said, "What up, Jefferson? Ellen and the Ants." Is that who you're talking about?
Yep.
There you go. He says, "What up, Jefferson?" So we're up against this debate tonight, but I think our debate's more important, debating 35 versus 45 RPM. I really do. So I found something.
This will be more entertaining. The other thing's going to be a shit show. No matter who you support, it's just going to be a shit show.
Canadian. I mean, I'm Canadian, so
can we try to emulate it, Jefferson? Can we start hurling insults at each other and start yelling?
Yeah,
I don't want to do that. This is a family show.
I would rather
not. You are the worst.
The family show.
You don't know anything. You don't know anything about vinyl records, Jefferson. Only I know anything about vinyl records. No one else knows anything. Is that good? Is that a good debate? Okay, so check this out.
I'm a very stable record collector. Very stable genius.
This guy does the worst podcast of the last 4 years.
Okay, so who's this guy?
Enough. Okay.
Who's this guy?
P. Diddy.
P. Diddy. Who's this guy? Look at that. That's quite the shot there, huh? Whoa.
Both Sting.
That's Sting. Okay. What's the connection, P. Diddy and Sting?
Oh, P. Diddy sampled Every Breath You Take, right? His first big hit.
So so I'll be missing you. I'll go back to that in a second. So on TikTok last week, someone went out and said that, and it was in an interview, but I think P. Diddy and Sting go back and forth and joke about it. How, Sting says, yeah, P. Diddy has to pay me $2,000 a day for that sample and all this. And so I think it's been a joke. It's been one of these running jokes. So in Rolling Stone just this week, it says, he goes, this is what P. Diddy said. He goes on his Twitter, he goes, I want you all to understand I was joking. Friday, April 7th. It's called being facetious. Me and official at Sting have been friends for a long time. He never charged me $3 or $5K a day for missing you, is what he said. So it's not true.
Yeah. P. Diddy's got bigger problems now than paying Sting.
Very true.
Can he come back into the country?
I think he's in the country, isn't he?
P. Diddy? I thought he'd left the country.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't follow that.
Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess we could Google it, but yeah, I found that really, really interesting.
Steve, I do see a good suggestion for a Rhino High Fidelity title.
Hold on. Where are we saying?
I saw
that one too. Jane's Addiction. Nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there.
I want that too.
It's not for sure, but I know that's one that is on Patrick Milligan's list. And when I talked to him about that, he says that's one where he has to get band approval. So it's basically seeing if the band will get back.
That will be gone within a week. I'll guarantee you.
That would be amazing. I just found an original of that album and paid way too much for VG Plus, but I'm so happy I got it. It's just an amazing record, recorded super well. I mean, that album came out, no one knew what to think, and it's only gotten better with time.
So Rick says he'll be on the run soon. So maybe he should start. If he has to pay that $2,000 a day, he'd be really screwed. But yeah, I don't know.
I think he's trying to stay out of jail now.
Little Village is another one. Van Morrison, Wavelength. Okay, these are Rhino picks. So yeah, if you guys are tuning in late, I thought this is really cool. They're putting I almost did it. I almost showed everyone. I would have been in trouble. But this is the Rhino logo on the inner sleeve. So yeah. And I listened to them last night. I'm really impressed with them. So what do you guys think of last week's little show with Mr. Steve Hoffman? I know Michael wanted to chat a little about that before we sort of get into things. Michael, thoughts?
Well, I honestly I got a little confused about the A with the B crossed out of the A. You know, I went back. I have I have three original copies of Asia, and two of them are A B with the B crossed out made into an A on side one,
And
and then
that's the one that I sent him. It was an
and then
AB, but it was on both.
side two has double A's. Yeah,
Yeah, mine
and
didn't
then,
have double A's. That's
yeah,
true.
and then I have one that's A B on both sides. So. But I do hear when I listen to the AB and the AA on side two with Peg, I hear a slight difference between the two.
Yeah.
AA is a little clearer.
So, so what is the general consensus about the scratched out B? Is that an AB?
It is.
Or is it an AA?
It's an AB. It's basically the same plates were used as the original AB run, and they just so
because what I've been doing is I go by the price code. It's like $6.98 versus $7.98 or 5 versus 6. Anyway, they changed that matrix because they raised the price $1. So if you go by the price code on the jacket and you go for the lower price, and you know you've got a true AB. But yeah, where I got confused
somewhere
this week was knowing if the scratched out B is an AB or an AA, because if it is an AB, the one that was his favorite was the AB, right?
That's what I thought at the beginning, because I mean but then he says, well, I didn't want to spin yours. There was some stupid price tag on it, and I got all annoyed by it. So I went back and I got my my one that had my girlfriend's note in it or something. So I got so like halfway through, a light bulb went on in my head when I'm sitting there going, I think we have a problem here, Houston. You know, I was like, I don't know what to do here. So in the end, I think what it came down to is the AA sounds closer to what he remembers the master tape sounding like than the AB, or the AB with the B scratched out. I mean,
that's
what I got out of it.
I was talking to Steve about this right before the show started. I went back. I have 3 copies of Asia that are from AB or AA. The handwriting on the one I have that's AB with the B crossed out into an A, and the other side being an AA. The handwriting is exactly the same. I know Steve said he thought somebody else cut it, but the scribing and the dead wax looks the same on both sides. So I'm kind of intrigued by that.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really change the outcome that much, because his favorite was still the Cisco, and his least favorite, I believe, was the UHQR, or his least favorite was the AB, right? And so those are not going to really change regardless of the AAAB thing. But yeah.
And like Rick's V saying, like, we're not sure, and nor is he. We're not sure who cut the AA, and it was probably just just some cutting engineer at the vinyl plant.
What I noticed again is the handwriting looks the same. The handwriting on the AA, the scribing looks the same as on AA.
See, I have that Canadian red vinyl pressing, and I was under the impression that was also done by Bernie Grundman. So I don't know. I mean, it's just so confusing.
I thought he did all of them. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
I don't have that Canadian one. That's one I've been looking for a minute. I've got all the other versions. My personal favorite is the UHQR, followed by the AB, followed by the Cisco. But yeah, they're all really, really. It's a great sounding album from the beginning. So, it's kind of like a Sophie's choice of which one's really better. Comes down to like personal preference, your system, all the parameters you talked about last week.
We talk about it all the time. I mean, it's so subjective, right? I mean, that bias as well. Oh my God, I have a $150 record. Because I paid $150, it has to sound the best. So that's just a human. That's just normal. I know, it's, oh my gosh, it's in this awesome box. It's got great liner notes. It's got this really cool colored vinyl. It has to be the best.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it, and it's 45 RPM, so it sounds the best.
Yeah. Dorgon's right. He says hard to F up Asia. He's right about
that. I saw that. Yeah. Hi, Dorgon. Yeah. That's awesome. I didn't recognize Dorgon before, so welcome to the program, or maybe first time.
There is an F'd up version of Asia, the low fidelity.
Oh yeah.
Well, I showed that last week, right? And I said to I said to everyone, like, listening to this one, I mean, whoa, the mids, they sucked that thing out. I mean, again, that's the 80s. Is that an 80s? Sure. Smiley EQ, right? So
Smiley EQ.
80, Steve, 80-81.
80-81. Okay, yeah.
So I think it's the heyday of the smiley face EQ.
But the funny thing is, I like some of those old MFSL Stan Rickers. So it just depends on the album. I don't know.
I don't think they all have that smiley face EQ. I think that's one of the many things in this hobby where, you know, something applies 80% of the time, and so you extrapolate that to everything in that era or everything by that label, etc. And yeah, they're not all scooped out. That some of them sound really, really good. Like I love the original American Beauty. I love the original the Waiting for Columbus Little Feat. It's probably my favorite version. But yeah, sorry. Are we still on Little Feat hiatus?
I didn't hear anything.
Okay.
What is Rick saying again? I heard that the QRP UHK and was impressed, but felt it wasn't better than his AB. I had to compare it and compare it with except for the actual pressing quality. So yeah. I guess it's all a preference. I mean, I know that Hoffman went on his forum and you know sort of right after the show and sort of clarified to you know the forum people there. But I mean, he says it's all about systems, right? That's what he basically said in his little forum post after the show last week. I don't know, but yeah, someone else said it's hard to screw up Asia. I don't know. It's such a great recorded album, right? I still blown away the fact that Peg could have had Don Henley as the backup, not Michael McDonald. I think that is really cool.
Yeah,
can you imagine that. I don't know if that would sort of screw it up. Awesome. So it was Steely Dan and sort of the Eagles were sort of friendly together because I know they've mentioned each other in some of their songs, right? I know the Eagles mentioned I think there's a quote or reference to Steely Dan, or someone might be able to tell me, in one of their songs, and then sort of vice versa with Steely Dan. So I think an interesting rivalry throughout the 70s between those two bands, or at least between Donald Fagen and probably Glenn Frey and Don Henley, because they both shared the same manager, right?
Yeah, it's kind of two sides of that, you know, mid 70s LA scene, right? You get the cool, suave, sophisticated, you know, Steely Dan, exactly. And you got the kind of like, you know, country rock, cosmic rock,
selling millions of records. Yeah,
the Eagles, and then the Stadium Eagles, and yeah, they're from the same scene but going in different directions, I guess.
Very, very interesting. So who wants to start this? I mean, I guess we brought a bunch of records, and here's the one thing that I find interesting about digital recorded albums, Michael. And I mean, both of you, if the viewers don't realize, Michael and Jefferson are huge tape guys. They both have tape machines. I mean, Jefferson just loves looking at, you know, master tape boxes, and you know,
yeah.
He likes to. When I get my Rhinos, he has to see the tape box. I mean, he just thinks that's the coolest thing. So, you guys are big into the tape, have the tape machines. I'm not into that, but I'm finding a lot of the times, I don't care if it's a 33 RPM or a 45 RPM cut, if it's digital recorded, they both sound really good. I mean, I'll give you an example: Nightfly. There's probably not a shitty Nightfly 33 RPM original out there. There's not. Go find me one. That was all cut by Robert Ludwig back in 1982. I think they all sound great. I mean, you don't hear very many people complaining about that. Then they go and say, oh, well, the MoFi sounds better because it's 45 RPM cut. But I mean, is it? I mean, really? Again, going back to bias, going back to preference, going back to your mood, going back to your equipment, is it really? So, I mean, you know, I don't know.
Well, you could even make the case for Brothers in Arms. Every version of Brothers in Arms, but Dire Straits sounds great.
That's my point. I was going to get to that as well. Yeah. And I have one here. And Michael, you're going to love this. And this is sort of perfect timing because this one just got released and I just ordered it because I'm a huge NXS fan. So I have the old Universal Back to Black one, which is an okay version. Okay, nothing wrong with that. I have my original I had since I was 13, 14 years old. Is this a Canadian one too? Yeah, I think this is my Canadian. Yeah, this is my Canadian original NXS kick. Bob Clearmountain is the mix this one. I mean, again, all digital recorded, sounds amazing. Okay, and I know this record because I had it on CD. I've had the record. I've had the cassette. I know how this sounds. And then I know Michael T, you have it. This is a Miles Scholl half-speed mastered 45 RPM cut as well.
Yeah, and I actually messaged him yesterday to find out what source he used. I haven't heard back yet, but I know the AP is a Dolby EQ tape, which is an odd choice for a digital recording.
So here's what the Miles Scholl looks like, 45 RPM, obviously side 3, and you got side 4 here. Now, I was going to tell you, I'm not hearing a lot of difference between them. If I was to choose, just based on my knowledge of how I want NXS to sound, based on my experience or whatnot, I just would go with my original. So what I have done, I did order the AP, the Atlantic 75 AP 45, which I think it was a Chris Bellman cut. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't looked at the.
I think it was Ryan Smith. I got
Oh, it was Ryan Smith. Oh, interesting. Okay.
I was
So
gonna order that
again,
too.
I think this was really well recorded, mixed by Bob, Clear Mountain. Again, originals go for $10. I mean, these are bargains, and they sound freaking great. And these ones, I mean, the Miles Shoal that people pick them up today. I think they're a lot of money on Discogs. And then of course you could just buy this on Amazon, and I did it just because I like In Excess, and I'll have a fourth copy when the AP comes, and I'll let you know. But again, digitally recorded stuff, 45 to 33. I don't know. I'm not getting a lot of difference out of them. And again, maybe that's because I sort of know In Excess, especially the Kick album, to sound a certain way based on my experience of the past, 32 years now that, that record's been around. Any thoughts?
So let me make a quick point about those examples you brought up,
Yeah.
Steve.
Oh, sure.
Specifically, the Nightfly, Brothers in Arms, In Excess. While we're at it, Peter Gabriel. So
good. Yeah.
All of
that's right.
the multi-track digital recordings, I think all of them use the Dash PCM machine.
Okay.
So digital multi-tracking, right? But a lot of that stuff was mastered to 2-track tape, because if you think about it, back in the day, 1980 through 86, 87, the infrastructure to make LPs was you had a lathe connected to a tape machine.
Yeah.
Right. So even though they were digitally recorded, a lot of those, and again, it depends on which one you're talking about, but most of those were mastered to 2-track tape and then cut to record from that tape. So, that's not the same thing as taking the master tape, taking it to digital DSD, PCM, whatever, and then cutting from that. So I just caution people that think, oh, this is digital. First of all, it's a fool's errand, and we don't want to get into the weeds about digital versus analog, because that could go on for hours, and everyone would be right and no one would be wrong. But it is important when you think about what period of time you're talking and what was the infrastructure to make the record. So yeah, you talk about you can't find a bad Nightfly. You really can't.
No, you can't.
Most of the same thing with Brothers in Arms, same thing with Peter Gabriel. So, and I'm not a huge In Excess fan, but I saw him open up for the Go-Go's in like the mid '80s and loved him. And so that stuff was made. What we heard was probably cut from 2-track tape. So anyway, I just wanted to make that point. Doesn't really mean anything in terms of the interpretation. Just wanted to make sure we're not conflating the whole digital analog thing, which gets conflated.
I don't want to do that. I just feel like in those examples, I mean, you can't go wrong. Those are ones where you can't go wrong with an original, like going back to the Nightfly or In Excess or Brothers in Arms, which I have all three of those as originals, and they're just kick-ass albums. They were just really well mixed, well produced, well engineered and recorded. And again, because those are the sort of my wheelhouse of where I grew up, and I sort of know that sound, I'm just, I think I might be biased because that's the sound I just know. And so when I listen to it cut on 45, or I listen to a newer version on 33, it just doesn't have what I remember it to be. That goes back to the way Steve Hoffman sort of remembers the master tape sound in Avasia, right? So I mean, I think it just depends on your memory and sort of your experience of that album, and is the way you want to hear it. And so a lot of the times these reissues, and we've talked about this, in nauseum over our time here on this channel about, they're trying to get to a new market as well and sell more records to a bigger audience, and we get that as well. So
I want to add one more point to what Jefferson said. All the recordings we're talking about, 84, 85, 86, we hadn't gotten past 16-bit. So the original source was a 16-bit digital recording. So I wonder how much can you embellish? I mean, we have better DA converters nowadays if they're working off the master. Yeah. But I mean, you're working with what by today's standards is 16. We're at 24-bit now, 24.192, 24.96. So the resolution was limited to begin with, even though it does sound great.
Right, and that very fact, Michael, makes me think that being mastered to 2-track tape maybe made up a lot of the contributed to a lot of the really great sound that we have with those albums. Tape saturation gives you that warmth, and that's going to cover a lot of sins coming from early converter 16-bit, right? especially I think, wasn't the Dash like a 48 track? I mean, that's not that it matters, but it was still it was a digital tape, but with 48 tracks on it. So yeah,
Sony, I think, was Dash, right? Yeah,
kludgy, very kludgy back in the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we don't have to argue that. I want to ask you guys to bring up some 33s versus 45s, and I know I'll let you go first, Michael. Tell me your thoughts on some of the ones that you're bringing up today. You probably did bring in excess. I bet you I beat you to it though.
Yeah, I need to order in excess. I thought it was going to be mid-July and they pushed the date up. Actually, this month I want both in excess Kick and I also want Bad Company Straight Shooter. That's an awesome album too.
Yeah.
Although I've noticed on their website they haven't said who cut Bad Company Straight Shooter, but if Ryan Smith cut the first Bad Company, I'm assuming he probably cut Straight Shooter too.
I would think he would, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I definitely want both those titles, so I'm going to be ordering those. But here's my thing with 3345. It depends. It depends on what I'm listening for. I'll give you an example. Just 2 days ago, I was listening to this Bill Evans. Do you guys know this album?
So that's the Kevin Gray cut from Kraft.
Yeah, it's You Must Believe in Spring. And
I love the sound of that album.
It's an amazing album. It's double 45, yeah. But this happened on a couple of occasions when I was listening to it. I got so into the music that I forgot I was playing a 45, and then I felt frustrated when I had to get up. I hear the dead wax, and I have to get up because it kind of kills the vibe. You know, when you actually get drawn into the music and you're grooving into it. And this happened to me before with Kind of Blue also. I've been playing Miles Davis Kind of Blue, and all of a sudden it's over, and I'm waiting for the next song to come up, and it's not coming up. So if I'm really, really getting into the music and I'm forgetting about my rig or listening for audio quality, it can be frustrating. But at the same time, if I'm listening for sound quality and I'm listening to how my system sounds, sometimes it is nice to have the 45s.
Nice. I guess it all depends if you want to get up so many times. We've argued this how many years?
Yeah.
3-4 years here.
And the other thing here's the other thing. There's certain albums and I don't mean to pick on MoFi, but like say Van Halen 2 just came out. Diver Down is coming out. Do you really want to have side 4 have Happy Trails to You by itself and get up to change the record after 2 minutes? I mean, they're both albums that are 28 minutes long, so you're getting 7 minutes to a side. You know, are you gonna? And some of them are parody songs that Van Halen did. Are you really gonna want a whole side to them? Like, you know, that's what I'm wondering about. You know?
Yeah.
Well, by the opposite, if I flip the coin, I was listening to Freebird yesterday on the AP45. I want Freebird on its own side.
Yeah.
You know? So it depends.
Yeah. I was just thinking, I don't mean to intercept you. I just want to make a quick point. You know, it's a cliche and it's kind of a joke, but the live version of Freebird on One More 4 From the Road, it's that's the one, you know, what song you want to hear, right? We don't have, I mean, the original sounds great. We don't have an audiophile version of that. You think
I have a promo 12-inch single of that with it by itself.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. I wonder if it's 14 minutes long, isn't it? I think.
Sorry?
It's 14 minutes long, the live version.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
They probably have to split it, but I wonder if we can get Chad to do like a 4 LP version of that, kind of like he did with Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Just because we have nothing for One More From the Road. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, man.
Okay, I'll give you guys one more example.
Please do.
I'm a big fan of Royal Ballet. This is another one that I just recently bought the QRP version. But regardless, Bernie cut it. This is on 2 LPs. If somebody's starting with classical music, this is like
this is the Royal Ballet Gala performances, and this is one of the in its day. I mean, one of the best-selling records. I mean, an original goes for a couple $1,000s, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
However, before I got this, a couple of years ago, I found a sealed copy of this, the Classic Records box set of that.
So tell us, now, is that the same one?
It's the same one, yeah. So, and then Chad has also reissued, here's the difference. Classic would do one, and Jefferson knows this, they would do them one-sided. So there's 9 records in the box.
Yep.
And I'll get this out like once a year and play it.
Yeah.
But on a typical weeknight, I'm not going to just sit there and put 9 records on. It's so time-consuming. And so I'm not listening for pleasure. I'm listening for like audiophile sound at that point, you know?
Right.
I'm not sitting there getting into the music. Because if I know I have to get up and change records 9 times, and this goes for over $1,000 now. It's just it's a collectible. Anyway, so I think it depends on the title. That's my point.
Cool.
Interesting. What did you bring, Jefferson, or which ones do you have that you can compare?
I brought a few examples, and just shut me up when you get.
I'm good at that. That's fine.
So I got since it was in the trailer, I tried. Yeah, so I just got this the other day. It's a promo original with RL mastering and Dead Wax, and then I also.
This is my RL, and
Okay,
this is
gotcha.
the AP. Yeah.
And so, oops. So then I also have the Atlantic 75.
45 RPM. Yep.
Yeah. Subscriber 420.
Oh, look at that, boy.
Yeah, Jefferson has all the 420s for the whole series.
That's amazing. That's cool.
Yeah, he got all the 420s.
So on April 20th, do you listen to one of your AP records, I guess? Is that what you do all day?
I pretty much listen to them as they come in and periodically. But anyway, so this original, this RL, I mean, I picked this up the other day. It was before the AP came in.
Yeah.
And like, wow. This is dry, punchy. The guitars are crisp. The sound stage is deep, deep, deep. A little bit intense on the highs, but not terrible. But I was like, this is a very respectable pressing. Now it's a promo and it's a RL, but I think all of them are RL. And then, got the Atlantic 75 in, and I was stunned. I mean, it was like a grease slip and slide back into the early 80s when this first came out. It sounded amazing and just immediate. Soundstage was both deep and wide. The balance was there. I mean, it wasn't like overwhelming bass, overwhelming guitars, but it was all blended really, really well. And every attribute was prominent and balanced. It's super strong dynamics, and it just demonstrably beat up the RL original, which I was expecting it to be better. 45s typically are, except for one example I'm going to show later. And but it was beyond my expectations. I have yet to hear, as a subscriber number 420, I've yet to hear a bad Atlantic 75. I haven't heard one where the original is not as good. It bests all other pressings and it bests the original. So I can keep going, or if you want to do one, Steve.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
But let me ask you 1 second. So track one is "Owner of a Lonely Heart." I mean, you've known that song. This record's been around since 1983. Your thoughts on track one? You drop it down. You know that song. Everyone knows that song. It was a big radio play back in its day. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's crazy. That bass is like, I don't know how to describe it. It's not really reverby, but it's just like boom, boom. You know what I mean? It's just like deep and resonant, right? So resonant, and so to capture that on vinyl is pretty amazing, right? Just to have that really, really sweet, rich low end, and have it being as expansive as it is without being muddy. You can turn up the bass all day long and it'll get muddy or distorted or whatever, but it was just well done. So for that specific song,
I mean, we'll give Ludwig credit. I mean, like I said, I've got I've got his version here. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, this is how I remembered it because this is my original from '83. But you're right, though, too, especially with Kevin's AP 45. Definitely, definitely the bass is more pronounced in this one. That's what I got out of this one throughout the whole album.
Yeah.
But again, it's 45, right? So you're going up to change it a little bit more often than you would with of course, the 33 version. But again, if you want best sounding, I think that this is just killer.
Yeah, Quicksilver, very good point, which I was trying to reach for, but I couldn't.
Hang on, let me see.
The bass is really textured. Yeah, so that's exactly right. Very full, very fully, very layered and textured. You can hear the different parts of it. It doesn't squish together. It doesn't get muddy. It's just crisp and then your face. So.
Someone's saying, Peebethal says Bad Company self-title is a bad Atlantic 75 in his opinion.
Okay. Well, Patrick knows a lot about pressing, so I haven't AB'd the A75. with the original yet. I should probably go back and do that, but I was very happy with it.
Wicked
I
X.
have both. I do have both of those, and I hear a slight improvement, but it's not significant. You know,
Wicked XL saying major advantage is that. What's that?
Cables. Kevin's trying to get a discussion started on Kevin's cable change between Music Matters and Music Matters SRX.
Is it? Hang on. You're asking about this?
Yeah.
So here's the story on that. The 45 were cut at acoustic. They weren't cut at coherent. And
exactly.
Kevin Gray has a much better mastering chain since the 45s were cut.
Yep.
That's the story there.
Yep. And actually, can I just piggyback on that 1 second, Steve? Speaking of that old mastering chain versus the new mastering chain, I was also subscriber number 420.
Shocking. Hang on, I'll show the folks. I'll put you full. Hold on.
Good.
Oh, look at that. Blue Note 420. I love it. Which record is that? Show us which one it is. Oh, Sidewinder. Nice. Yeah.
So that's acoustic, right?
Acoustic, correct. Correct, Mike. So I listened to this, and then I listened to this OG. That
we have an OG too, and I have an SRX.
Yeah, it's not SRX. It's the original.
I have
bought technically from the OBC, and so of course it's American pressing. I bought out of Germany, but and then just for shits and giggles, I have the Tape Project tape.
Hold on, I gotta put you full. I want to see this myself. Put it right up. Tell us what we're looking. Oh, wow.
So this is the Tape Project.
And that was like 10 years ago? How long ago was the tape?
Oh, it's more than that. I think it's maybe 15 by now.
How much was it 15 years ago then compared to what it is now on Discogs?
It is now $450. So I mean, really, tapes have crept up to $500. I think that Jazz at the Pawn Shop is $1,000. Some of those Hemiolas are going for $750. So
and the Welch is going for over $1,000, isn't it? The Jillian Welch?
It was $700 even.
Oh.
Yeah, but I think it's more now. I think it's probably sold out by now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just going to make a quick point. The tape is the best sounding. There's no question about it. You can get more low in there than you can anything else. However, this original, and Alan was in the comments earlier, but Alan and I did a shootout between this and my 45, like, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 years ago. And it was with Alan's 45. And I'll shit you not, it bested the acoustic 45 RPM in terms of, better imaging, more kind of in your faceness, if you will. And it was just clearer. And I found the AP45 to be a little muddy, a little veiled compared to the original. So I don't know if it's a tape issue, or it's a tape age issue, or if it's a copy tape that they use. I mean, I don't have a reason.
Jefferson, I have a question for you. On the acoustic, the double 45 Blue Notes, not the Music Matters. Was that Kevin Gray and Steve Hoffman combined?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the mastering was different.
Yeah, so it's different.
There was different people making mastering choices.
Yeah, and to Patrick's point earlier, I don't have the SRX. I'd like to have the SRX, but
I got that one. Yeah.
I mean, I have the tape. I don't think anything's ever going to beat the tape. But talk about getting up to change 45 with the tape. You've got to put on half of the side, rewind it, and then play. That's a pain in the ass. Anyway, my point is that sometimes the original beats.
And I was going to say that I think that's happened a lot here today. I mean, going back to the In Excess we talked about, Kick or Nightfly or Brothers in Arms, all originals. I mean, again, Sidewinder. I've read that a lot over the years. That the original
and
Sidewinder,
somebody was mentioning
you get a really good copy. Wow.
Yeah, somebody was saying the UK Bad Company beats out the other ones.
There you go.
That's good. Yeah. So I was looking today on Discogs. You can get originals for under $300 VG Plus, which is what this one is. Yeah. And it was one of the most popular jazz albums ever made. So I guess there's a bunch of copies of it. Also made in 1964, the year yours truly was born. So I just have a lot of connection to it. But I got to say, I was stunned when we did this comparison years and years ago, right? And because I expected the 45 to quash it. And yeah, it does have more bass, and it's got a lower noise floor compared to the original, but it didn't sound as good. And so ever since that time, I've been looking for my own original. And then in the interim time, I got the tape and was able to listen to the tape. So I was kind of surprised. So, you know, it just goes to show you, the only hard and fast rule about any of this yet is that there is no hard and fast rule.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I think a lot of people are asking. I mean, you know, we're talking about the difference between 45 and 33. I'm going to pull up. Steve Hoffman did something. I know, Michael, you alluded to this. He wrote something in his post about 45 versus 33. I'll put it up right now. I'll read it here. If hopefully you guys can see this here. He goes, well, you can have a wider sound stage than the actual master tape. It's just not possible without a few mastering tricks. He goes, I don't want to argue with anyone here. It's pointless, but so many times we cut lacquers at 33 and compare them to the actual stereo masters. As I've written about before, they match nicely with lacquers, given a bit more coloration action due to the natural consequences of the cutting process. He goes, I can say that the waste of extra vinyl of 45 RPM double packaging and messing with the song flow make the faster speed something more like a gimmicky than reality. So he goes on to say, but don't quote me or Kevin or anyone else, 45 versus 33. I don't have a toe any company line anymore, so spare me, he says. If the 33 lacquer matches the actual master tape and soundstage and everything else, if you're hearing something else in addition to that at 45, is due to an extra bump in the mid band or other tricks that we do to increase soundstage. He says, just mastering tricks, but good ones, but still. So bottom line, if you offer the same album mastered by the same person at the same time in both 33 and 45, and the 45 version costs a lot more, reconsider.
Yeah.
From Steve Hoffman.
That's reasonable.
What do you guys think?
I agree 100%. You know, the speed's not going to do very much in terms of, you know, getting more or less off the tape. You know, what's on the tape is on the tape. You're not going to make the sound stage wider or narrower.
You can't make it wider than what the master
Although
tape
I will
was.
tell you one thing: if it's a 22 or 24, if it's a 22 or 24 minute side, and the song at the end of the side has a lot of bass, a lot of energy, it's not going to sound as good on a 33 because you get into those inner grooves. You know, they're going to have to make compromises to cut that at the end of the side. You know.
Well, Dorgan's team 33 for life, so we know he or she's not buying 45s then, I guess. Yeah. Oh, hang on, I want to see this here. Quick spec, what do you say, 4D. I had a friend ask me why I spent a lot of money on the one-step Nightfly when it's digital. Then I played it for him, and he no longer thought I was crazy. Again, I mean, yeah, I think you're not going to find, no matter who cut it, you know, if it's at 45 or 33, they all sound really, really good. I think that was just one of those masterfully recorded, engineered records. I mean, one of the second pop record of all. I think it was the second pop record ever to be recorded digitally as well, right? I think it was what was it? Ry Cooder's "Bop Till You Drop" was the first pop album recorded digitally. I'm sure there's probably other ones, but pop albums. So.
Horrid too. It's.
I won't buy it. I won't even look at it.
But that record sounds atrocious.
Great panel. Thank you, UFO Computers. I'm not recognizing a lot of the viewers tonight, so you guys might have watched the show in the past, but I really appreciate the comments. And I will say to everyone who watches the roundtable, I really want to thank everyone for tuning in and making the show a success. And really, I really do appreciate you guys and your support. It's been really awesome, and thank you. And this does help bring back other guests. I know someone asked me if Kevin Gray will come back, and that definitely will be happening, and other guests in the future, that's for sure. And I know
the other thing, Steve, I thought about was I have a direct drive turntable, so it's not an issue for me. But there are some people that have turntables where you have to remove something and put a belt.
If it's not 45, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's one more hassle with some belt drives where you got to actually move the belt to a different pulley, put the platter back on, and then play the record. So
Jefferson's one fan. It's probably his wife. Hey, honey, pretend you're Dorgan and watch me, okay? Get another comment on there. But thank you for watching. I appreciate Dorgan.
This is Gordon from Beaker's Records. He's good. He's a really good friend of mine. He's got a great record store in.
Well, give him a shout out for everyone. So who?
Beaker's Records, Gordon, or nice. Drogon, and he's bullshitting about 45s. He loves 45s, but he just likes the little small ones, which scare me.
Those scare me.
The 7-inch records,
because I know nothing about them.
Hang on, I want to see what Jean Paul has to say. So I didn't read it yet. An apple-to-apple comparison is the same song on a 33 RPM and the 45 RPM 12-inch single. The 45 RPM 12-inch single beats the 33, done by the same mastering engineer from the same source, is what Jean-Paul is commenting here. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think the general consensus is that 45 beats 33, all things being equal. But there's only so much it can do. I mean, I think you get a lower noise floor. I think you get a little bit better bass, tighter bass, especially if it's a short song, because you're in the wider part of the grooves. But then, yeah, I mean, but again, like Steve Hoffman said, what's on the tape is on the tape, and there's only so much that the speed is going to do to get more off of there.
So, I mean, here's a good argument too. You guys, I mean, I don't have an original Doors, but here's the Chad AP 45 RPM self-titled Doors. I mean, I've got the Rhino cut that Bernie did, not 45 to 33. It sounds okay. I think I have. I don't know if I brought it up with me. Yeah, I do have it here. I grew up with this one. This has been in my collection for many years. So I always thought this sounded great. And then, of course, when I got the Chad AP version 45, and this is mastered and cut by Doug Sachs, it's like, oh my God, this is my go-to now. And it still is to this day. If you like the stereo, this is the stereo, of course, right? I like this as my stereo. And I think, what's the rumor? The tapes, the master tapes aren't in great condition, or there's something wrong with the master tapes. So I'm glad that Chad...
for the mono where they're missing? Is it this?
Well, for the stereo, they used the copy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, again, I think these are great sounding Doors albums. I mean, the Doors, I mean, are they audiophile records to begin with? I mean, I don't know. They're not, it's simple recording. It's a live recording in a studio. I think Morrison was in the booth sometimes. He wasn't. I mean, it's basic stuff, but I mean, it does come off really nice on the 45 RPM cut. I really like this record. But again, I grew up with this one. So, I mean, that's, the Smiley EQ.
I think pound for pound, for the Doors, you can't beat the AP 45s. I mean, it's one-stop shopping. You get everything. They're going to sound as good, if not better, than anything else. There are a few exceptions out there where they don't really sound better, but if you find a clean original, I think they sound pretty good. One is the Pittman, LA Woman.
Right. Yeah.
Really, really great. Also for the debut, stereo and mono, if you can find a clean, that's key. You got to find a clean Monarch. Those Monarchs are amazing.
Yeah, I have a couple of those. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it is about the Monarch pressing plant, but they knew what they were doing. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be one of the betters of the original.
I remember. I remember
let me
playing
just
side B, Backdoor Man. The bass is just incredible on the Monarch.
Yeah.
I want to merch 13. The DCC Doors wipes the floor with that 45. Here's the thing: DCC is mono, and I do have the I don't have the DC. Do I have?
No,
I've got the
stereo.
ERC. I've got the ERC. Sorry. So DCC, the Steve Hoffman wipes the doors, and that's what I've heard as well. I don't have that one. Sorry, I should have read that properly.
I'm going to slightly. Dustin knows what he's talking about, and I don't have the DCC of the debut, but I do have the DCC of LA Woman, and to me, the 45 RPM is better, and even the Pittman, I think, gives it a run for its money. I love the DCC, don't get me wrong. I mean, but it's almost like a different presentation. But to me, I would not say the DCC stomps it, but again, it's all subjective, and no one's going to win.
Exactly. I mean,
knows what he's talking about. So
there's probably people out there when I show them my Mobile Fidelity. I think this Mobile Fidelity is a good cut. I mean, in its day, it probably was. I mean, to some people, right? And then of course, Chad comes out with this 45 of this, mastered by Doug Sachs. When was that? That was a while back that we got this. I think this was a number of years ago now, if I'm not mistaken. When was this?
It was over 10 years ago.
It was 10 years ago, wasn't it already? Wow.
Christopher makes a great point about the Monarchs. Yeah, they're very expensive, and he's absolutely right. I mean, for the money, for one-stop shopping, $60 per title, you can't beat the AP 45s, right? You can find stuff that's as good, maybe better, depending on your system, but you're going to pay a lot more than $60 for it.
I love the LA Woman 45 RPM that I have AP. It's just such a kill. I mean,
I've seen people bring up a couple of comments about the versions of Rumors. Rumors has been cut by Kevin Gray and Steve Hoffman at both 33 and 45 in Impressive Palace.
Here's my 45 pressed at Palace, Hoffman,
only
Kevin
have a
Gray, and the
45.
Dead Wax.
Yeah. Does anybody have the 33 of that?
But I mean, you go back to what Hoffman said. But to go back to what Hoffman said, right here, we'll go back to it. What does he say at the very end? He goes, bottom line, if you're offered the same album mastered by the same person at the same time in both 33 and 45 RPM, right? What does he say? And the 45 version costs a lot more. He says reconsider. So this is the 45. Is it still available? Can you buy
Yes,
this
it is.
off out of stores? Because at one time
Yeah,
it was out of
on the Acoustic Sounds website. It's still available.
Yeah.
This 45 RPM Hoffman Gray was like $100 record at one time.
It was waiting to be pressed for a while. That's why that during COVID. Yeah.
Well, it was done in 2010 at 45.
Yeah.
It sold out, and then it became a $100 record, $150 record, and then they repressed it.
And so, how much is it now? Folks are to buy it.
I think it's $50.
45.
Yeah,
it is weird. It is weird, though. I mean, obviously knowing, this Rumors album. I mean, you got side one, Secondhand News, Dreams, and then Never Going Back Again, and then you get a flip, and then it's like Don't Stop, Go on Your Own, and then Songbird, and then flip again. So it's like a little bit different. Growing up with a 33 of this, whoa, it's a little bit different experience. That's like you can never do a 45 RPM of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon or Abbey Road. That would be the most insane thing because we're so used to the flow of those two of those records and those two sides. You could not break it up. I don't care any such way. It would just not work for me. Okay, at all. It just wouldn't work for me. You can't do it in those two records ever. Any thoughts on that?
I think you're right. I mean, Dark Side of the Moon. That's a tough one. I mean, it sounds pretty damn amazing, no matter what. I don't think I've heard a bad sounding one, right? Unless the vinyl's completely trashed. I agree that you can't stretch it out to 45 RPM without it just killing the continuity. But it's just like, I don't know. I've heard a lot of different pressings. I've never heard a Blue Triangle UK. That's my white whale, but everything else I have sounds really, really good. And yeah, why bother at 45? It's not, I don't know. I don't think you're going to add anything to it.
What do you want to add to that, Michael? My dogs are really barking, so I'm on.
I was just thinking, I about a year and a half ago, I started collecting 8-tracks also, and I was thinking about
8-track, baby.
They would either fade out, or I saw one of Abbey Road where they scattered the tracks randomly for Abbey Road. And to make it right. Their goal was to try to make the 8 minutes per track or something, or 10. So it just that kills the album,
It does. I have a vintage quadraphonic system, so 8-track was the poor man's way to get quadraphonic without the albums and the records and the decoders and everything.
Yeah.
And with 8-tracks, it's crazy. You get the clunk middle of the song, and
some of them fade out, and the song fades back in after the clunk. Yeah.
It was portable, man. You take that shit to the beach, drive around your car with your it was never meant to be the best thing.
Yeah,
but it's cute.
I've got one here. This is a Miles Scholl Tom Waits Closing Time, 45 RPM. This came out in 2023. This is the 50-year anniversary. It sounds pretty good, but compared to my original, I take my original just because that's the way I remember it sounding. But it's not bad. I've 45.
Heard Tom Waits are the only one I've heard I didn't like, and I have originals of all of that. And I'm not sure what happened, because supposedly the high-res files are great, but the vinyl they cut from the high-res files had a lot of issues. So I'm not sure. I'm just glad I got all my Tom Waits originals like 15 years ago before they got crazy.
What did you bring, Michael? Anything else? Talk about your KOBs. Go.
Oh, well, I thought of one more I wanted to talk about. Another 48P45 that sounds really, really good. I bought it about 6 months ago. Is the Dean Martin Dream with Dean. Have you guys heard of that one? It's you can actually hear him like breathing. It's so clear. You can hear him phrasing. It's a Dean Martin album, but it's got a lot of jazz musicians playing on it. Barney Kessel and a couple of other jazz musicians. So it's almost like a Dean Martin jazzy-ish record that was recorded around 63-64. But it sounds incredible. Reference quality. And that's a 45.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say I'm going to go back to Tom Waits, and this is the Miles Show. The ones that Fremer was talking about were the ones that were mastered by Chris Bellman, but cut at a different cutting.
Oh, this okay. Sorry,
Yeah,
so I
this
was
is a Miles Show 45 RPM. This isn't bad, but again, I feel I have all the Tom Waits originals, and just because I've listened to them for so many years, I would stick with the originals, just because, not because it's artist intent or anything like that type of crap, just because that's what I'm used to, and maybe this, sounds, maybe you pick up his vocals a little bit clearer, whatever it is, because again, this is half speed mastered
yeah.
45 RPM, so it's going to get a little bit more, maybe a little bit more bass on it, and the vocals are going to be a little bit more crisp or whatever it might be. But I'll take my original Tom Waits out of anything. I think it was the Asylum years that came out, that was the Tom Waits came. I have them as well, and to
Right.
be honest with you, I haven't even listened to them yet, because I have them. I got to compare them to my originals, but yeah, I think with Tom Waits, because it's Tom Waits. I mean, you have the original cuts. I think that's all you need. But again,
Hey,
not
Steve,
bad.
I noticed Dustin is asking about the Metallica 45 releases. Remember those? Mobile Fidelity actually helped cut some of those.
That was a weird story. I remember talking to Mobile
I
Fidelity
had
about that.
Ride the Lightning. I didn't like it. I sold it.
Yeah,
It didn't sound very good.
that's what I heard too. And I don't think Mobile Fidelity ended up cutting all of them in the end. I think there was something to do.
It said cut at Mobile Fidelity, but it wasn't issued by Mobile Fidelity.
But then there's something to do with Bernie Grundman on there too. It's really weird. If you go back on Discogs, and I know I tried to talk to my sources at the time when they would talk to me at MoFi about that, and it was weird how I don't think they finished cutting all those albums in the end. There's a licensing issue. There was some issue, and I just couldn't get to the bottom of it. But yeah, those Metallica ones, no one seems to be very, very happy with the sound of those ones.
Hey, Steve, on your Tom Waits, on that Closing Time, your original, is
Yeah.
that the white label Asylum or the blue label? Because
Would
the
be
very,
my-
very first ones were on the white label.
It's
And
downstairs. It's my Canadian version, so
okay,
I want to say white. Would that be what it would be? I think so.
yeah, those I've been looking for one of those forever.
Yeah.
I found one the other day at a friend of mine's store. Is $150, but it
Yeah.
was VG minus or G plus. I couldn't do it. But that's one thing I've always wanted to hear, because both with Jackson Brown's first album and the Eagles' first album, those white label Asylums are so much better than the ones that came just like 6 months after on the blue label. I don't know what it is, but it's pretty good.
I can't believe how much the Tom Waits records have gone up in value too. I mean, wow.
Well,
And
for that specific
yeah.
pressing, that white label Asylum, that's the one to have.
Bone Machine's hard to find in the wild. That's not a bad record either.
Yeah, you got to
Again,
get
Tom
UK.
Waits. If you're not a Tom Waits fan, or you never really got to get into him, I would actually suggest starting with Closing Time, because if you start going to his stuff sort of mid 70s to late 70s, it's a little bit different. And Closing Time has the Eagles. The Eagles sang Old 55, right? So that was a song the Eagles sang as well, and that was his first song on this album. Great album though, and I mean. 45 RPM flow again, I don't know. It's okay. I'd rather just keep it at 33.
If you've never heard any Tom Waits, and you like go down like the list of the top Tom Waits albums, usually it says mid 80s Island records, and those are very kind of discordant, inaccessible. I think the best entry point for Tom Waits is Nighthawks at the Diner. It's a live album.
Yep.
Mid 70s, and it's got he's bullshitting, telling his stories between songs. I mean, his stories are almost as good as his songs when you see him live, and so that will get you the idea. And if you want to get more the drunken rock on tour, you go backwards. And
exactly.
Eclectic avant-garde, you go forwards, right? And then that's a good place to start, I think.
Small Changes, okay. I like Small Changes. That's another good album.
Yeah,
I have the original of that too. Yeah,
I like you can't really go wrong with Tom. You really can't.
I like Big Time as the intro.
Yeah.
Your wife's really working hard tonight on these comments. What are you guys texting?
My wife is going to be pissed that you're conflating her with Gordon. Or Gordon's going to be pissed you're conflating him with my wife. So whatever.
You guys know I'm joking. Come on, this is more fun than watching those other debates on.
Dude, I don't know about
things
you guys
that are not vinyl.
I'm getting bombarded with text with people talking about the debate, and I'm trying to ignore it. It's just like I don't give a shit.
This is the debate. 33
Everyone
versus
is saying
45.
that it was pretty awful.
That's what really matters.
Comments about it being awful.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I'm not that I'm insulated being Canadian, but it's not really something we worry about it as much, right? I mean, it's not our country. I know we get, we follow it, right? But I mean, I don't know.
I do have a question for you guys. Are there any? Are there any?
Invade you? Who knows?
Okay. Are there any releases where you've intentionally bought both the 33 and 45 of the same mastering, like AP? I have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's about 4 or 5 titles where I bought both the 33 and the 45 for comparison purposes or for whatever reason. Yeah.
Glenn Minute, July 17th. I'll have Patrick Milligan on probably that day in the morning, just before, just as you can pick those 2 records up on the Rhino website. So that'll be fun.
Awesome. July 4th. That's my daughter's birthday.
Not July 4th. I didn't say that. Sorry. Did I say that? July 17th. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, Frank's Wild. Oh yeah, Frank's Wild Years. Again, another one. I mean, you guys are bringing up some of those are the classic ones. If you're not a Tom's Waits fans, go back to these comments. I agree. Rick's V Spinner. Yeah. Frank's Wild Years, another great one. But again, start off slow with Tom Waits and sort of go into. I would start off with his first one, right? Closing Time, 1973, and just sort of get used to it. Because it doesn't all sound like Closing Time as you move forward throughout his catalog. And I know you're laughing right now, and you know what I'm talking about. So
no, for sure.
Yeah. And then it says, I tried to watch one guy; he's completely lying out of his teeth, and the other can barely. Okay, so we're talking. Sorry, debates. I thought you were talking. Oh my God, I thought you were talking about me, and I thought he was talking about us, but it's not. We're not lying about anything. It scared me for a second. You're talking about the boring debate. These are younger guys here talking about things that are more fun,
Yeah.
I saw there's some great, what's really cool? I think when Tom Waits was one of David Letterman's most reoccurring guests throughout Letterman's run on The Late Show. Did you know that? He came on a lot of times. I think Letterman really, was one of Tom Waits' biggest fans was David Letterman.
Yeah.
So if you go to YouTube and you search out Tom Waits Letterman shows, you're going to see some hilarious interviews between them. They have some really good chemistry as well. So it's really cool to go back and watch some of that. Jefferson, man, you're getting some fans tonight, man. Hi, Jefferson. Looks like you had some good finds recently. There you go. Vinyl Piper. I don't recognize Vinyl Piper. You got the Jefferson clan out tonight to really watch this show.
I told everybody I know, I said, please come watch me and say stuff in the comments. Vinyl Piper's awesome. Hey, Chris. I'm going to be doing a video about it later, but I went on a buying trip to New York.
Is that actually Mrs. Tublandia? Is that your wife?
Tublandia says hello.
Yes. Hello.
Hey, honey.
That's amazing.
Hi.
I know she watches the show. You've told me that.
Yeah.
She watches my show, so that's awesome.
I make her. Yeah. She makes me watch it. She'll go, wait, we haven't watched Steve yet this week. What's going on?
I know.
Okay, baby, he's doing it.
I do appreciate that. I know you guys told me that a while back that you guys watch it, and that's really cool. And she's present. That's amazing. Yes, love it. Well, I that's one thing about, I don't know, the Audiophile Roundtable. YouTube has, like, they show you the demographic and where everyone's watching it from. One thing about this show, the demographic is interesting. It's not just all men. I've got 30% female watch the Audiophile Roundtable on a weekly basis, according to the YouTube demographic, unless they're fake accounts. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. And the demographic, and I also have 30% of the people watching are between the ages of 18 and 35.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Chris, I'm going to be doing sorry, I'm just going to finish my thought, Steve. I went on a record buying trip to New York about 3 weeks ago and found more heat in several days than I've found in my entire life. So I'll be doing a video about it, but I got a lot of great finds.
You didn't get the Stooges self-titled, though, did you? Which Stooges did you?
I got Funhouse. I actually got.
That's right. You showed me that one, Funhouse. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I had the self-titled. The only thing I need now is Raw Power, and I got a 75 repress from Permanent Records a few weeks ago.
How about Rhino Hi-Fi Stooges self-titled?
Well, I mean, yeah, they just ERC did it too.
Why can they? That would be a good idea, right?
They issued that about 2 years ago, though, on color vinyl. I have that. I don't know who cut it.
This is 2000. This is a 2016 Rhino. This is on colored vinyl too.
There was one about 2 years ago that I bought. Yeah, that they issued.
See?
There's also that John Cable "Vinyl Me Please" mix, but I haven't heard that one.
I think I have that actually. I forgot all about that.
I can't tell
resequenced it or something too. I remember that. They resequenced tracks.
To beat the original on that one, man.
Yeah. There was a store in Seattle that had an original, and it was $400 sold.
Yeah. Well, Funhouse originals go for a lot, and I know Jefferson, when you're out in New York, you picked one up for a very good deal, so that's amazing.
Yeah, I got in the same place, but the very first record store I walked into in New York, I got an original Funhouse, an original Meters, Lucky Kai-Pai on the Josie label, and couldn't believe my luck. They were both on the wall. I was like, boom, boom, and I was like, okay, this would be like the best I've gotten 6 weeks in the Bay Area, you know, and found it all in the first store I walked into. It was great.
Did you spend a lot of money when you're out there on records?
Mrs. Kublandia is watching, so no, not at all.
Okay. No, but I mean, budget-wise,
from them.
But budget-wise, I mean, do you go in like that's the one thing I wonder if a lot of people go into these record stores with budgets in mind. You're just like, oh shit, I got to get this, whatever.
I mean, I have a budget. I have a budget, but it's also like, you know, when are you going to find an original?
Exactly, I agree. Sometimes I go in, I'm like, if I don't buy this now, I'm not going to get it. Plus,
yeah, exactly.
The one on Discogs might be quote unquote VG, but it's not really VG. I'm holding it in my hands and I'm looking at it, and I know it's in good shape, right?
Yeah. Yeah, VG Plus in hand is a lot better than near mint on Discogs, right? Yeah. Because, oh, it's not near mint. Okay, we'll send it back. Well, do I have to send it back to England? Okay, well,
$40 to send it back. Yeah.
Right. No, exactly. So it's a lot when it's in your hand. It's a lot easier to justify it.
So I think the consensus tonight, just looking through the comments again, I mean, yeah, 45, you might get a little bit more dynamic range or whatnot. Maybe the bass sounds better. I think it's all about, first of all, you know, it's a subjective thing. It's personal taste. It all boils down to, you want to get, and like, and Michael even said, you want to get up and walk to the turntable. Or in your case, with the gala, which one was that? You had the Royal Ballet Gala performances. That's that's 9 times you're getting up every 8-9 minutes.
And then you have to put the record back in its sleeve. You know, it
seems like that seems like too much work. It can't even, like the time you sit down to try to enjoy it, you got to get back up again and then do the whole process over. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost like you're working like a DJ in the 80s where you had 2 turntables and you had to switch records, you know?
I'd be curious to know if someone has the 33 RPM Hoffman Gray versus the 45 Hoffman Gray Rumors, Fleetwood Mac Rumors, what the differences are, if any. I don't know.
Yeah, I only have the 45.
Hey, Joe. He's absolutely right.
Well, that goes back to Tom Waits. Tom Waits originals, Stooges originals. You can't beat that. It's the rawness of those records and the newer tapes, fresher tapes at the time.
Same with the George Monarch that Jefferson was talking
I agree.
Did we put Dustin's comment up?
This one? Yeah. 45 RPM, the best weight loss program for audiophiles ever made. So this is the thing. Why buy a gym membership when you just buy a 45 RPM record? Right? Exactly. Yeah, save money. You can save money that way.
You got the Royal Ballet. You know, you got to carry that big, heavy motherfucker over the way. Put them on one at a time.
That's the thing. You get into it, and all of a sudden, really, I got to change it again? Oh, man. I mean, I hate that. I mean, I just recently listened to Nightfly, my MoFi one-step as well, and it's like, I like the flow of the 33 Nightfly. It's like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
And then on the Marvin Gaye MoFi, didn't they fade one of the songs out and fade it back in or something? I heard about
really?
That. Yeah.
Yeah.
On What's Going On. Yeah.
Man, that Kevin Gray reissue he did, like, was it 2 years ago? What was
I have that. Yeah.
To me, that's as good as an original, if not better. You know, I love that version.
And that was the regional prize too. It wasn't an audiophile prize.
And that's one of Kevin Gray's actually favorite of all time cuts of his.
Well, he did that out of the park. I mean, it's again another album that was recorded really well, and it's got a lot of history. But then you hear it, you put on Kevin Gray's version, and it's like you're hearing it for the first time, and it has that same impact where it just kind of catches you in the heart. And you're just like, wow, yeah.
I think that has a lot to do. I think we are very fortunate today with, the mastering engineers and sort of their chain, right? I mean, it's so advanced. Electronics are advanced. I mean, Kevin's been working on his mastering chain for the last 50 years, right? So he's had so many great changes even in the past 5 years on his system. So it does I guess he's able to take advantage of that with some of the records that he has cut, and
Speaking of Kevin Gray,
we're getting to hear that.
Yeah, speaking of Kevin, have any of you guys bought his second release that he put out on his record label? I had the first one.
Anthony Wilson.
I didn't get that one yet. Have you guys gotten it?
Not yet, no.
No, I need to, because I'm jealous of, or not jealous, but I'm envious of his Macintosh 3500s, man.
Well,
things sound so amazing.
I can tell you, Kevin found his third artist to record. It looks like November, and I was invited down to be part of that in November at the studio.
Are you going to make a video out of it, Steve?
On the way down, and I'll
Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah. I said, I don't know. I can help adjust the mic. I mean, that's pretty much all I can do, right?
Yeah. Rick's V Spinner. Okay, Kevin has more tubes in the audio path and the entire chain of his mastering than any other mastering engineer. Yeah, pretty much.
Going back, War's Greatest Hits that Kevin cut. There you go.
Yeah.
He uses tube chain for that one.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody even mentioned that Kevin's War, all tube cut. There you go.
Has anybody compared Kevin's War to the double AP War?
Not.
That's 45 versus 33. That would be very interesting.
I think it's Ryan Smith versus Kevin Gray, right?
That would be interesting, yeah.
I have so many copies of that War. I have quadraphonic album, have the regular original, 8-track quadraphonic, SACD quadraphonic, and Kevin Gray's Greatest Hits from Record Store Day. So it's a great album.
I know that when I asked Kevin about the tapes, he said the tapes were in really good condition when he cut it. And I think all the War songs and records, and I think they're really well produced too, and really well recorded. I mean, that's another thing that helps these records. What's Rick's V Spinner saying? I have an OG Minty UA War pressing. It sounds really good. It is so well recorded. Greatest Hits. Exactly. I mean, it is. That's what I just said. It's well recorded, and that does help. And that's the thing. I mean, again, these reissue companies, right? Are they really going to risk everything by finding a shitty master tape? No. So they're going to find something that sounds good, and they know if they, with today's technology, it's going to sound good. I mean, that's another thing too. They're not gonna come out with crappy recordings these days. I mean, it just doesn't happen because this is all about money.
Pre-war, just talked about the Led Zeppelin SP repress. Those Zeppelin titles, if you can find a George Piros or a Porky right. Piros when it comes to Zoso, no matter what the year, original year, there's like 73 repress, 77 repress, I think up to 79. All of those George Piros Led Zeppelins are amazing.
Same with the AC/DC Power Age, Highway to Hell. The George Piros ones are amazing too.
Yes, for sure. Although I found a couple Australian AC/DCs in New York and around lately. Those Australians are pretty amazing.
Yeah, they're probably one generation closer,
Yeah.
Again, fresher tapes, right?
I have one Australian AC/DC.
Hang on, what's Rick's V saying again? For those who don't know, if you ever see Zeppelin 2, for example, a GC in the Dead Wax, buy it. Greg, I think he said this before, but Greg Calby's mastering is second only to the RL. I mean, some actually like this one better than the RL. So just depends.
Interesting. I don't think I know that one. I know the Piros, the RL, of course, the classic records.
Yeah, and I think Rick's has said this before. I've seen him, and I've heard this from other sources as well. I think on the Hoffman.
But Greg didn't start at Sterling until about probably 77, 78, 79. He wasn't there when the album came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, George Piros. He actually started off cutting classical records for Mercury in the 60s.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They were really nice sounding. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Patrick at one point said always look in the dead wax. And so I've been doing that for about 3 or 4 years now. And whenever I see GP, I'm almost never disappointed.
So
it's
apparently
AT/GP. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
AT/GP.
GP, yeah.
So Greg Calaby used RL's notes for the Zeppelin. Okay. There you go. Interesting. Now I have to buy that. Come on.
Yeah, Blue Albert's Alan. The Blue Albert AC/DC. Those are good to have.
Wow.
Yeah, here's my original AC/DC. I have an original high voltage.
Nice. Drogon has those, and I've been lusting after it for like I don't know, 6 months now.
Look, I bought it back when nobody was buying vinyl for $2.99. I have the sticker on it.
Hang on, I want to see that.
I'm not kidding. I bought this in about 90,
Oh, yeah, look at that.
probably 97, 98, when nobody was buying vinyl. I bought it.
Oh, I lost you.
You'll talk. Here's hoping, Gordon.
Now it's worth hundreds, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Gordon's got a very many one.
So probably like the other debate, there's really no winner or loser on this debate. I mean, I think if you like 33, go with it. 45, I mean, I think it's all preference. I really do.
Yep.
I found too, we'll close it up right away. I have got the 33 RPM and the 45 RPM kind of blue, UHQR. And I remember, and I haven't listened for a while, I remember my 45 RPM sound, like when same level on the sound, it sounded louder by a few decibels, I want to say. I want to say that. I'd have to go back.
I started
video
Steve,
on that.
I didn't have time to finish up, but I have some records that I have doubles of. Like I have the Beach Boys Surfer. Well, wait a minute, I'm backwards here. I have this one. I have a 33 and a 45. I started making comparisons. I was recording them.
So hang on, the Surfer, Beach Boys.
Yeah.
That was a Kevin Gray cut, though. The AP was a Kevin Gray cut.
Yeah,
right?
This is Patrick Klein. This sounds awesome.
Greatest
too.
hits versus the AP 33
now,
versus 45.
Here's the story on this one. This was cut by Ryan Smith at Sterling. This was recorded by a guy in the early 60s named Bill Porter. He did Elvis and Roy Orbison also. He was an amazing mastering recording engineer. For this one, Ryan Smith stated that they bypassed the console altogether. The tapes were so good, they plugged the reel-to-reel machine right into the lathe directly.
Wow.
He didn't require any mastering. The other one I have two of, because the reason I'm talking about this is I compared levels. There's only about a 1 or 2 dB difference between the 33 and the 45. This is also an awesome sounding one. I have both. Kevin Gray cut this one. Julie London, Latin in the Satin Mood. This is an amazing sounding record too. Another one I have 2 copies of. Well, the 33 came out years later, but George Marino cut both of these. The 45 was issued like 12 years ago. The Acoustic Sounds one was about 2 years ago.
Either one. I have the 33. You can't go wrong with the 33.
They both sound amazing.
Channel switched, Michael.
Yeah. Those are the channel switch. Yeah.
But I think going back, my kind of blue is about 2 decibels louder than my 33 RPM.
I noticed that
too.
I was telling Steve, I was recording them. I was capturing them with a phono preamp. I have this a DSP one. I'm testing it out. It's by a company called Parks Audio, the Waxwing, and you can actually see levels on your phone. It's Bluetooth controlled, and you can kind of see the levels are about 1 to 2 dB louder on the 45, so they are cut slightly louder.
And I did a video comparison on a couple years back, and that's exactly if I was to go back, I want to say that's what I said. I had a dB meter, and so I was blown away. I'm like, why? The 45 sounds louder.
Yeah. Because you have more real estate to work with. That's why.
Well, and the 45, we didn't talk about this. I mean, we'll end this right away. But I mean, the intergroove distortion, right? From the mastering engineer has to worry about that more on a 33 than they would on a 45, because of course you got more real estate, more vinyl. So that's really not an issue. So of course that's more of an issue on the 33s.
And not only that, as you get closer to the middle and the end, your circumference is
that's right.
Yeah. So it'd be like, Jefferson and I are tape heads. It'd be like going from 30 IPS down to 7.5 IPS.
Yeah.
By the end of the side,
it's a big, you'll hear it. You go from there to there.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, we're going to leave it at that, guys. This has been a great debate. This is the real debate tonight, and I appreciate everyone joining. Again, it's been a pleasure having you on, Jefferson. Thank you for bringing the Jefferson clan tonight. I'm really happy. I didn't recognize a lot of these comments and the names, so this is great. Michael, always a pleasure as well. And again, I wanted to thank everyone for joining in and being supporting this channel. It means a lot, guys. It really does, and I really appreciate that. Give it a thumbs up, of course. Share the video. Tell your friends. Go tell Grandma to watch the Audiophile Roundtable. It really helps. It helps us get more guests, and it's.
Oh, quick question, Steve. When is the next announcement for the Rhino Hi-Fi?
The Rhino Hi-Fi. Well, I had showed this already. I just think this is so cool. I got to cover this up. This is one of the 2. But look what they did on the inner sleeve. They got the Rhino logo there now. I wanted to show everyone that. That's pretty cool. July 17th.
And that's Britney Spears, right? You said?
Yeah, Britney Spears and
Ice
Madonna.
Castles.
Yeah, Britney Spears and Madonna.
Rolling.
Yeah.
And making his dream come true. Ice Castles.
It's like a virgin, and what's the Britney Spears? Hit me again, wherever that song is. You know that song.
Exactly.
Oops, you did it again. Yeah.
Hit me one more time. Yeah.
Or whatever. I don't know.
Or is it Milli Vanilli? I want a Milli Vanilli.
So July 17th,
Yeah.
2 rock bands celebrating their 50th anniversary of that rock album.
All right.
July 17th. I'll have it on my channel. I've got it here. I've already listened to them. I'll have Patrick Milligan on that day or a day before or the same day in that morning to unbox it, look at it, and yeah. Hope you guys will be excited. All right. Well, thanks everyone.
Nice
awesome.
to see you. Thanks
All right. See you everyone. Bye-bye.